My lighting in here is on point.
Yes! Hello and welcome to another episode of the Music Guy Podcast, the podcast about two working musicians in the Toronto, Ontario area. This is episode 26. My name is Al Rowe. I'm a music guy. I play guitar, I sing, I write songs, I make records. My co-host coming at you from the depths of Markham, Ontario is Mr. Michael Hebbs. Welcome, Michael. How are you?
What it is. Just, hanging out. We did it. Made it 26.
Yeah.
We got one more and then it's all over.
Wait, did I miss your birthday?
What?
Did I miss your birthday?
No. Just 27 is the
Yeah.
age that everybody
Right.
checks out.
Right. So if our podcast can get past the 27 club, then we're doing okay, is what you're saying.
Yes, that is exactly it. I'm just going to change so that I'm seeing our stream in such low quality. It doesn't crash the internet in the depth.
Nice.
The depth has bad internet.
The depths has whack internet right now?
Oh, it's crazy. I don't know what happened. But that's it's working for me. I'm making it work.
Yeah. How's quarantine life treating you? Not that you're quarantined because you're sick, but because you're staying at home as you should be, like the rest of us.
I went on a walk actually before this podcast.
You did?
I avoided people, went on a walk on a dirt road. I actually saw the front of our place because I've never seen the front of it up close. It was nice,
Nice.
It's everything I expected. Oh.
I've decided that we need to remind people to stay inside. So I wrote a little song.
You wrote a song?
Yeah.
Shit.
So people, if you're not staying inside, if you're not staying away from other people, you're being a
Don't listen to
bozo.
the song, then.
You're being a bozo, so stop being a bozo, okay? So the song goes like this. Don't be a bozo. Stay inside. Don't be a bozo. Stay inside. Don't be a bozo. Stay inside.
And then you got to end it on a 6/9 chord. There you go.
Does that count?
There you go.
Oh, no, wait.
You know that one that the Beatles ended like most of their songs on? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Just...
It's more of like a dominant kind of...
There you go. That's a good one. Yeah, so don't go outside. Don't be a bozo.
Great. So now that that's over, so you're surviving. Yeah, right. So you're surviving.
Yeah. Like I went on a walk. I did actually. I've been stretching a bunch. I'm gonna get real limber.
Okay.
And, I don't know. Other than that, I applied for certain things from certain governments that we reside in. And eating well, trying to. Almost reaching the end of Netflix, which is scary. I'm getting into the boonies.
Oh, yeah. Have you watched, have you finished Ozark yet?
I haven't. You know what it is? I don't know why I stopped watching Ozark. So, I feel like I need to get into it. I just can't get... It's like, if I hadn't seen Arrested Development, I think I could watch it. But it's like sad Arrested Development.
I see.
It's like real life Arrested Development with real problems.
Right.
And it's the same.
It's the same what?
It's the same actor. Arrested Development. He plays the same character, but one's in a sad world and one's in a world where they fucking pick his toenails off. Spoiler alert.
Right. Yeah.
But
it's a very heavy show, but it is also pretty funny.
Is it? I haven't seen it in a while.
At times, it's dark humor, obviously, but yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to post our stream on Facebook right now, and it's not having it.
the same character.
Oh, that
but one's in
is
the
working though. It just says
Hey,
it says 404 not found, which is weird. But anyways,
that's one of those generic errors. I'm just gonna we'll do 9:15, and now we know for
thanks.
editing.
Appreciate
Problem
it.
solved. I'm actually also going to take a little Instagram. But how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. I was going to say I actually legitimately miss you because I say that most of the time to people, and it's not true. It's like, oh man, I miss you. I haven't seen you in a while, but I miss you.
Yeah,
This
no,
house is empty without you.
It's been weird not seeing you every day, man. I gotta say, but we're hanging in over here. I've pretty much moved in here with Katie, and yeah, and it's been cool. I mean, it's kind of just this whole situation just sort of kind of sprung that on us, where I was already over here, and then it was like, don't leave your house, don't see other people, and then I was like, well,
don't get Michael Hebb sick.
I can't see you because you want to be able to go see your parents, and so I just figured I'm just gonna stay here, and yeah, it's been great. I love it here, down in Liberty Village, Toronto. So you were just mentioning just a second ago you're applying for some stuff from the government.
Yes.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't quickly just touch on what's happening this week. The COVID Emergency Response Benefit, the CERB, is up and running here in Canada. So it's super easy to apply for. It honestly took me 3 minutes. I did so at 12:01 a.m. on Tuesday, which was the day that I was allowed to apply for it. They separate the days by your birth month, so you just go and go to the site, and it'll tell you what day you're supposed to apply on. And if you do so late at night, as we were sort of talking about an episode or two ago, the traffic isn't as high, so it's a little bit easier to get on the website. If you missed your day, Friday and Saturday, they accept people from any birth month. And it's super easy. If you have a MyCRA account, it takes a couple of minutes. Those are pretty easy to set up too. All you need is your financial institution, so whatever bank you're with. You select which bank you're with when you create the account. You need your SIN number, your social insurance number here in Canada, and you need one tax return from the last few years, where they'll just sort of ask you to verify one line on it or something like that. Is that right?
And I think if you have your CRA account, I think you just need your bank credentials. You know what I mean? Like,
if you already
to get a CRA account, you have to have your social stuff. But if you have a CRA account, like a MyCRA account, most people do, then all you have to do is put in your bank info, and you can sign up. And you're right. It took you like for me, I had the CRA account, I had my password, and I was just gonna glance at it, like I'm gonna apply for this, got to think about something, and then it was like, oh, if you press this button, I clicked on it, and then the next page is like, if you press this button, you will receive $2,000 in 3 days. And I was like, I've done all the thinking that I need to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna get this bread.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people will already have the CRA account. I got mine a couple years ago just so that I would get my GST refund checks and stuff direct deposited. And some of the banks, like the big ones like TD and BMO, they have a function from within your online banking portal as well, where you can click to set up your direct deposit with CRA. So you can kind of do it on the bank's end too, just to make it even that much more secure or whatever.
Yep.
But you definitely have
people that I've talked to are worried about it. They're like, I don't want to have to do this thing and sign up this thing and fill out forms. And it's like, no. It's
super easy. You don't have to provide any supporting documentation. If people are being dishonest about this, then come tax time next year, the year after, that's when things will get looked at. But for right now, people need support, and the government is providing that. And I, for one, applaud how quickly they've been able to bring this together, and how easy they're making it for people to apply. And if you don't have a MyCRA account, there's a number you can call, 1-800 number, and that'll get you squared away. But it's probably a little bit longer of a wait time, just given the fact that it's a phone call and they're inundated with calls right now. So
you should have your tax returns handy. That's the only thing. Other than that, social
yeah,
insurance card, you have one.
yeah. If you haven't been paying your taxes for the last 5 years, you might find it difficult to get a part of this. But maybe even then you might even be okay. But
the next song you got to write is "Don't Be a Bozo, Get That Serve Money."
Yeah,
it's gonna be rap jam.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a rap joint.
So what else did I want to touch on here? So just go on the site. The eligibility requirements are right there. When you go to apply, it says A, B, and C. If you haven't made money, if you're not going to be making money, if you're not working, whatever, if you're self-employed, if you're not collecting EI, it's all right there. Read it. If you understand yourself to be eligible, all you got to do is hit I accept, and that's all you got to do. If you're not eligible for whatever reason, hang tight. According to the Prime Minister and the rest of the government, there's either an amendment coming to the CERB or a new program coming to help people who maybe you're still earning a little bit of money every month or something, and you feel like you're not qualified for the CERB. There is apparently a program coming for you. So hang tight, and hopefully that money will become available ASAP.
Yeah, I think the plan was they needed to get the CERB out as soon as possible, so they may have missed a few things, and they're trying to catch up.
Yeah, exactly. And furthermore, if you're a musician or a creative person in need, there are a lot of great avenues to look at other than the government, which includes the Unison Fund is a great one. The AF,
what is that?
The Unison Fund is a charitable organization designed to support musicians in need in times of crisis. So they've got
stuff available.
They've got a program going, so you can look there. You can look at AFM is another place that you can go and apply for benefits. And the TAC, if you have an address in Toronto, meaning your postal code starts with the letter M, then you can get funding from the Toronto Arts Council as well. So there's lots of different places to look if the government doesn't have you covered at the moment, or even if they do, might be worth your while to go see what help you can get from other entities as well. So
that's cool. Very neat.
Yeah.
What are we doing today, Al?
Well,
what's going on today?
We're we're chilling out. We're staying safe, staying away from other people, and we're taking questions.
What sorts of questions?
All sorts of questions from all sorts of people. In fact, if there's anybody in the live chat that wants to ask a question, we'd be happy to take that as well on the fly here. We're gonna start. We're gonna start with a question from friend of the show, member of the agenda,
Friend of the Earth,
Mr. Mark Rinkin. Plays bass, produces records, does administrative work for the wedding band company Stereo Flavor.
Guest of the show as well.
That's right. He's been on the show. Mark asks, how about some insight on how to stay inspired and creative when there isn't much to feed on in our current global situation?
Ooh, that's a good question. I dare say I'm a creative person, but I don't know if I'm like the kind of creative he's talking. Like I don't generally like do things because I need to express myself. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, why don't we modify it a little bit? You're playing guitar every day, yes?
Oh, maybe I am.
And what is motivating you to keep practicing, and what are you working on, and why?
Self-loathing, and it's mostly just I want to come out of this strong. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if, say for instance, we got like 2 or 3 gigs at the end of summer because this chilled out by then, I want to just show up and be like, and I want to use this time effectively.
Okay. And
Okay.
what specifically are you working on right now? Like, what's the last thing you were practicing?
Um, I'm doing that same thing. Remember, I was saying I always work on that solo to Kiss
Mm-hmm.
by Prince,
Yep.
and then I'm working on. I'm just playing along with tracks, and I'm not even most of the time doing stuff with my left hand. It's just trying to get my right hand to just be rock solid, you know. So I'll
Rhythmically
take something
speaking.
like Kiss and do that along to the whole song,
Yeah,
like 3 or 4 times.
I got
And
you.
then other than that, just shredding stuff.
Right.
But most
So,
of it's rhythm stuff.
okay, mostly rhythm stuff. Do you have like any lofty goals to like lift some crazy solo or
You know what I need? I have goals to have goals to lift a solo because I've stopped doing that entirely, which is kind of a shame, I think.
are you doing that lick trader thing?
I got nominated for one, and it was while I was doing that Ontario Health video, and I was like, I could either learn like because I was nominated like 2 or 3 people, and I could either learn all of these really great players licks, um, and then add one of my own licks, or I could do this thing that I'm supposed to do, and I was like, I'm just gonna do that.
Right.
But I thought that lick trader thing was pretty neat.
So
That's like cool stuff like that, innovating stuff like that.
so that was just like a
Um,
thing going around on Instagram where somebody would like play a guitar lick and then tag a bunch of people and they would have to learn it and then add one to it.
yes,
And then it just became this chain. So by the time it gets to you, you got to learn like 7 licks.
yeah,
Is that the
and
idea?
they were all like everybody's pulling out their best.
Oh, naturally. Naturally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I didn't do it,
Mm.
but I appreciated the nomination.
I would do one if I got nominated. I'd probably be brutal though on
There you go.
Some of them, you know. I got a couple sweet Al licks though.
There you go. There
I
you
could
go.
contribute something
Start our
tasty.
own lick trader.
Yeah.
Call it Rift Trader.
Um
Rift Givers.
I mean, personally speaking, if all you do is write songs about loneliness, which is pretty much what I do, there's a lot to take from the situation we're in right now, you know.
That's fair. That is fair.
But
What?
no,
Yeah. So, what are you doing to keep sort of? Like, do you have sort of like a goal for the end of the apocalypse?
well, I mean, my problem is that I've never been a good practicer in the sense that I don't tend to practice for the sake of practice.
You're practicing for preparation.
I
For
practice for gigs, yeah.
things. Yeah.
So you know, call that what you will, but like if I have a show, I'll work my butt off to get prepared and make sure that I'm, you know, putting on the performance that I expect of myself, and do service to the band that I'm in. But if I don't have an actual gig to work towards, that's when my practice tends to dry up. So that's where things like teaching sort of help keep me involved with music. What I've turned to heavily during this time is streaming and having that Music Monday stream means that I'm practicing for 2 hours straight. I'm making sure that I'm playing my originals and keeping sharp on those. I'm taking requests, so that means that I'm putting my voice and my hands through exercises or workouts or whatever you want to call them that they've never seen before, because these are songs I've sometimes never done, right? And then, of course, there's just trying old songs that I haven't done before, or sometimes I'll just be like, I've always wanted to learn this one. Maybe I'll just learn it right now on stream, you know? And just the fact that I'm on stream, there's a little bit of accountability there. There's a bit of a performance element there. It feels a little bit like, for lack of a better comparison, like playing a solo gig at on a patio or something where there's like a handful of people that are checking it out. And, you know, you're not necessarily the main point of focus for everybody that's there. Maybe some people just have it on in the background. Maybe some people are watching with full intent or whatever. But it just does add that element of like, it matters how I sound.
I mean, that's the biggest thing that you brought up is like having the stream. Like and so you don't have to get as much prepared for it, but yeah, you could set a lofty goal, or Mark could set a lofty goal where he's like, I'm gonna stream this or I'm gonna record this and release it. I feel like, yeah, it's just having a goal, because that's actually something I'm lacking as well too. I'm practicing, but the goal is just to be good. The goal isn't to do a specific thing, which I think that would even drive me harder. Is
Yeah.
like, okay, Thursday, I'm gonna, play all of Scenes from a Memory by Dream Theater, which I'm not gonna do because that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Will did it for his final.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna try to walk in Will's shoes even more.
But I mean, if that was an example of something you're trying to do, if you set that goal in the context of, I'm going to release a YouTube video of me doing this, or I'm going to do this live on IGTV on Instagram, or I'm going to do this live on Twitch, or live on Facebook Live, or on this podcast, or live on RedTube, it's like,
oh, another good one.
Then there's some accountability there. And for me, I really feed off of that energy of like, somebody's watching, or somebody could be watching. And, so
it exists somewhere.
If I wanted to learn a new song, for example, if I said, well, I'm going to make a YouTube video of that for my YouTube channel, whether or not the video gets any views, I'll learn that song way better than I would if I was just like chilling in my room, kind of casually practicing. I don't have that focus and that regimen when there's not something on the line, or at least I don't feel as though there's something on the line. So obviously if I have a gig coming up and I have to perform, I'm going to practice my butt off. But if I'm just kind of chilling, I'm like, I just kind of want to try this. It's like, I know that about myself. So I find that the streaming element has really been helpful for me, just in terms of keeping me practicing, keeping me singing, keeping that muscle working, because I think as we really settle into this new paradigm, this new way of life, like we're only a couple weeks in. Like, talk to me when we're a couple months in. Fingers crossed that there's some support money for those of us who don't have any work. Like, once you don't have to worry about that, and you're just kind of sitting around being like, well, I've got enough money to get by, and I don't have to work for it, and I can't go outside, and I can't do anything. What am I supposed to do with myself? I think it'll be really easy to sort of get maybe down in the dumps, feel a little bit useless, feel bored, but also not motivated enough to actually do anything. So for me,
I do think that the big thing is that goal, right? Like, so for you got your music Mondays, you got that lockdown. Eventually that may feel like, okay, I'm not doing it. Al Rowe, if I know anyone who could take a tune from start to finish, like, you could potentially, in like 2 months be like, this isn't enough. And you'd be like, I'm going to write a tune and produce it. You know what I mean? And same with Mark. Mark could do that too.
Yeah.
So
I think
got
it's just
the tools, maybe.
I think it's just a matter of finding, obviously the easiest answer to this question is find what motivates you. But yeah, for me, it's that live engagement. I've always performed better.
Yeah.
Like, I've always performed better when there's somebody listening. It doesn't have to be a lot of people. It could be just one person. So I get that from the Twitch stream. I get that from, making YouTube videos. So you got to kind of find what is that for you? Is that I want to write a song? Is that I want to, I don't know, produce a record like you said. I think other things can help too, like staying active.
You can't let the other stuff slide.
Yeah, like I'm very fortunate that, like, being with Katie now, it's like we do this little workout every night. It's like, it's not a huge deal, but
that's awesome.
But we hold each other accountable to it, and it's we've been doing it pretty well every night, and like, we haven't been perfect or whatever, but it's just like,
you and I used to work out together, Al.
That's right. Yeah. And it's just that kind of stuff. If you can stay on a consistent schedule in that way, keeping your health in order as well is going to keep all those sort of creative juices flowing and stuff like that as well. So I hope that was a helpful
I think to
answer.
sum up, you're saying find that thing that gets like holds you accountable or like motivates you, like because creativity is motivation, I guess, right? To like,
Yep.
I almost think that it's like motivation to solve a problem. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yes.
oh, how do we get across the earth quicker? Fucking airplanes, man. There you go.
Yeah.
Figure that out. You know?
Yeah.
So it's
And I
like I
think
guess find the thing.
like it's the same old song and dance, like collaboration, right? Having somebody else there to make you accountable. Like the only
Yes.
reason that we put out this podcast every week is because we are both a part of it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it'd be
Yeah. There would be some
so
weeks where
it'd be so easy to just be like, oh, I don't feel like it, or I'm busy, or
yeah.
I'm doing something else. But when the other person's calling you, being like, yo, when are we doing this? Then it's like, okay. So if you want to be creative, call up some other people and say, hey, let's do something. Can I record a loop for you and send it to you, and you can put something on it and send it back to me, and I'll put something on it. I've seen a couple of videos. Dave Kirby was a part of one where it was like a little 4 square screen of each of the guys playing their parts, and they're all I think they all recorded it ahead of time or whatever, and then they put it all together and put all the videos together, and it looked and sounded really great. It's like, do collaborations with people like that, maybe try to release something every week or whatever, and that'll just sort of keep all that stuff going and scratch that itch for you a little bit. Hey, what's up, Nick Mabry in the chat? You talking to yourself in the chat?
I might be. It's lonely times in the apocalypse.
Lonely times. I mean,
have you ever seen that movie, I Am Legend?
Oh yeah.
I feel like some good memes that could come out of that.
That's true.
Right
Where
now.
are the I Am Legend memes right now? Yeah.
I mean, so one thing this is a point that I need to bring up. I was talking about this with Taylor. If you are a single person right now, Tinder is going to be so fucked to get a vaccine.
Yeah, it'll be real easy to
pop on there. You know what I mean? Tinder is going to turn into Grindr.
Yeah.
For a few weeks.
Yeah. Yep. Just use protection for the love of God.
Are you talking about a face mask?
Shall we? Yeah. I would still be wearing a face mask. Yeah. Should we move on to the next question? Do you want to take it?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Actually, yeah, I should contribute. I was dilly-dallying in the chat talking to myself. From Chris Henderson. Who is this Chris Henderson fellow? I like his name.
Chris Henderson's an artist from Alberta, if I'm not mistaken. Or nope. He's from Saskatchewan. My mistake,
Same
Chris.
Diff, man.
Saskatchewan.
It's not Ontario.
Yeah. Great artist, great singer, great songwriter. Chris Henderson. What does Chris have to say?
When do you think festivals / live music gatherings will return? How much do you see things changing when it does, if at all? That is interesting. What do you think about that, Al?
Well, we've never really seen anything like this. The last thing I remember that was like this was SARS. I don't know if you remember SARS. We were pretty young. I think I was about 13, maybe 14 when that was happening.
Yep.
And it didn't.
It's more deadly, though.
I guess so, yeah, but maybe less infectious.
Yeah, I think it's if you get it, you're fucked, but like didn't spread as much.
Yeah. I mean, again, I was a kid, and I remember it happening, but it almost was like it wasn't happening because I'm a privileged person here in Canada, and I was just like, oh, this isn't happening to me, so it's not really a thing, right? But it was a thing, and I remember they had SARS stock when it was all over. I don't know if you remember that.
I didn't know Willie went.
Yeah, I went. My dad took me and a buddy of mine, and yeah, it was killer, man. Rolling Stones headlined. AC/DC also headlined. There's a ton of other artists there. Rush, Justin Timberlake got stuff thrown at him. I think Sass Jordan played. Whole pile of really great. Was it Guess Who maybe on that too? I don't know. Whole pile of really, really good artists. Really, really big concert at Downsview Park. So I would be surprised if we didn't see something on that scale. But because this is such a worldwide thing, like maybe something on the scale of like a Live Aid, kind of several different major cities having giant shows all at once to get people back out and about.
When do you think that's going to be? You know what I mean? Because vaccine has to be out vaccine has to be widely distributed.
Hmm.
Then that has to happen. And
Well,
this is so serious.
yeah, I mean, I hate to be negative, but in listening to the projections from the Ontario, um, I'm not sure what their titles would be, but a couple of doctors had spoken as part of the Ontario government of the projections for the province of Ontario, and what we can expect based on, obviously not perfect math and science, but math and science nonetheless. And they were saying 18 months to 2 years being the total cycle of the pandemic, where the disease could sort of have its initial wave, potentially come back for a second wave, potentially come back for a third wave. So we could be in this for quite a while. I would be surprised if there's any public gatherings before September, since they went ahead and postponed the Olympics. Major stuff's gotten postponed. So at minimum, I would think, how many months away is that? We're already in April, May, June, July, August, September, 5 to 6 months maybe before events like that are allowed. But
So
I mean,
also too, like something like SARS stock. SARS, I was a kid, but from what I've understood about SARS, it didn't hit us as bad. It hit Asia pretty bad.
yeah,
I don't think it hit North America super bad. And I think just the severity of this, like I do think there's going to be a little bit of people are going to be weary of large gatherings.
absolutely. And when it is finally okay and things are safe to do so, I think there will be a large push to make big events happen as soon as it's okay, because on a large scale, people are going to want to feel like it's okay to come out and have a good time. But even on a small scale, even on a local scale, I would imagine that a lot of sort of small towns here in Ontario are going to be having festivals, and depending on the time of year, hopefully it's, weather permitting or whatever, but having festivals to encourage people to come out and spend money and stimulate the economy. I think there'll be a large push, and I think music's going to be a really important, integral part of getting people out and back together again. But yeah, I think it's going to be a while.
Yeah, I mean it's depressing. It's depressing, but one of the things that I look forward to is like how much we won't take it for granted now. Because one of the things I was thinking about, like draft beer, I miss draft beer so much. I don't drink a lot of beer these days, but like if I could get like a beer from a tap, that's what I meant to say. Beer from a tap at like a pub and everybody's there.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be amazing.
Yeah,
do that.
Oh, I think we'll get right back to taking it for granted after about a month, but that first month is going to be absolute bliss. So how much do I see things changing? As Chris also asks, how much do we see things changing?
We'll see masks.
When it does.
Like I mean, in Asia, people used to be like, "Oh, why are they wearing masks?" Stuff like that. Like people from Asia.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's almost like not PTSD, but it's over. Like what's it called? They're kind of like scarred from. Yeah, like they're kind of scarred from their experience, and it's like this makes me feel safe.
Yeah, sure.
I think we're gonna see that here. Just masks for the next like 10 years.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, you still see people walking around with masks on even before COVID.
That's what I mean with SARS.
Because of SARS,
that they were scarred.
Yeah. So you could be right. I hope that turnouts won't be lower because of fear of disease and stuff. I think if anything, there'll be a stronger push to put on live events, and I think as much as the government is helping us out right now in this time of economic downturn because of what's happening, I would also believe that there will be initiatives to stimulate the economy to come back once things are safe again. So hopefully there'll be extra funding, extra initiatives for people to put on concerts and get people out. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Yeah.
Politically as well too. I mean, depending on how the country fares, like in each individual country fares with the like the outbreaks of it and all that stuff, I think things will shift a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
know that like Britain, um, was doing that one herd immunity thing, so they're just trying to be like everybody will get sick, but we'll eventually get immune as a population. And I feel like they're going to take a toll as a result of that choice. America, based on anybody who deals with this really really poorly, like I don't think it'll be make or break for America, but for certain countries it may be like seriously setting back. You
Mm.
know, it's going to be interesting. That's the biggest thing that I'm keeping an open mind with this. I'm not a very like a pessimistic dude. It's going to be interesting. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Like one thing that before we move on, do you think that all of these streaming concerts are going to continue after everything's clear?
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting how things have quickly moved online, and people have embraced that. I mean, I think some of that's definitely going to stick around. Um,
Yeah,
if I
I
can,
think certain people will be stronger because they have those skills. Like you said, you had your new broadcaster skills.
if I can make a um, very weak analogy, but I think it applies here.
I'm into it.
And hopefully this isn't insensitive to make this analogy, but um,
I like this. I like where it's going.
but
This is gonna be the clip
so
for the Instagram post.
I don't know if you remember several years ago there was an NHL lockout. Okay, and in Canada,
I don't.
okay, well in Canada hockey is like the only sport anybody watches basically. That's not actually true, but it definitely
Curling.
was true. And anyways, at the time the lockout was a big deal, right? There was no hockey for a year on TV, so it opened up this window of opportunity for other sports to become a thing. And so everybody started watching live poker.
Oh, okay, sure.
And then poker kind of like it became a thing, like Hold'em, Texas Hold'em, and whatever. And people were hanging out and getting together and playing cards and all this stuff. And then hockey came back and took over again. But there was always
Oh, that's me. Son of a gun. I'm getting a phone call again. Anyways, the phone call's dead.
okay. Let me start that idea again. So hockey came back, took over again, but then poker still was like kind of popular after that. So I feel like with the live Instagram concerts and all that stuff, there's not real opportunity right now for artists to utilize that to reach their audience. And then when live shows come back, I think there will still be some amount of the live streaming stuff. I hope there is, because I hope to build my own channel to the point where I can continue it when this is all over. That's the plan, right?
Also, too, it's almost like you're diversifying methods of success or just getting yourself out there. It's like, here's Al Rowe. Al Rowe plays for other bands. Bam. Here's Al Rowe. Al Rowe, he plays his own music. Cool. He releases his own Spotify. Cool. He has his own Twitch stream where he plays video games and he plays music and he does Instagram. Like it's just all these different things. It's like upping your chance of success. Now, Nick said something kind of funny.
In the chat, Nick in the chat.
Y'all need to address. He said, Al, you wowed in. If you think Doug Ford is going to give money to the arts/concerts to stimulate the economy, what do you say about that, Al?
I have no comment. All I can say is I'm an optimistic, positive attitude type person.
Yeah, there you go.
Nick in the chat also said,
okay.
What
lately?
What's that?
I thought, like with the disease, he hasn't done too terribly,
Doug Ford?
Yeah, I don't bounce in politics too much, but I haven't,
Like I said before, I applaud the efforts and the implementations that all of our governments have made.
Is that your official statement? That sounds like it was crafted by like a PR assistant.
A speechwriter?
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe that's the next level.
For me.
And I want to welcome Ollie in the chat. What's up, Ollie? How are you?
I think I need glasses. I misread his name at first. Okay, so what's the next question?
Let's keep it going here. This is a question.
I don't recognize this person.
Friend of the show, Will Hebe. Is it Hebe's? Is it Hebe's? How do we say that last name?
I think it's Hebus.
Friend of the
I'm
show,
not sure.
my compatriot, your brother, Will Hebbs. Question. I don't mean this question as a joke, he prefaces. When people post all the time because of this situation, does it devalue their brand via oversaturation, or does it help? And then I actually followed up with him just to see what exactly he meant. And he said specifically people posting like performance stuff, like them playing songs or them sort of doing live content sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, sorry for the delay. I'm all over this YouTube live chat right now. Like I am just spitting fire.
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay,
I'm actually. Is there a fire emoji?
Let me hit this one up. So Will's question. I don't mean this question as a joke. When people post all the time because of this situation, does it devalue their brand via oversaturation, or does it help? So my response here is I wouldn't be too hard on people right now for posting stuff online. We're all in a really, really weird position that we haven't really ever been in before, and we're craving human connection more than ever. And a lot of people are living by themselves, and they can't go out. They can't meet up with people in person. I'm very fortunate to be living with Katie. You're very fortunate to be able to see Taylor all the time. You know, some people living with their families. A lot of people aren't. They're alone. So if turning to social media and posting themselves playing guitar is therapeutic for them, if it's making them feel creative, if it's making them feel connected to other people, I think that's a good thing. From a strict business point of view, like if you're thinking about how to build your brand and all that kind of stuff, I think posting something every day is generally not what you want to be doing.
I wonder. It depends on where it is, but yes.
Yeah, it seems to me from what I'm a social media expert. Yeah. My social media pages will tell you that, but it seems to me that posting every day is usually not recommended. Even on Twitch, like I've started my Twitch stream, one of the first things they say is don't stream every day. So
really,
well, I think that if you're looking to grow your brand and your popularity, if all you're doing is streaming on Twitch, you're limiting the audience that can find you, right? So often the advice will be, well, also start a YouTube channel and post videos there directing people to your Twitch channel, and also have an Instagram and post to that. So
that's one thing that actually our friend in the chat, Nick Mayberry, said. He was saying that if you can like vary your content, and I think that's a way to vary it. You know, don't just post on Instagram, post on YouTube. You know, if you're doing songs the whole time, people are gonna get tired of that. I've seen all that. Like literally everybody's doing, oh, we're doing an Instagram concert, and it's like, I feel like you should be doing things building up to an Instagram concert, maybe like once a week. And it's like, okay, here's my daily stupid meme thing, or here's me singing this really high note. And then it's like, yeah, but make sure to check out the real deal on this date, you know?
And also, if you're only posting on Facebook, for example, it could be a bit of an echo chamber on there. You've got your sort of circle of people that you know that are going to see it and support you and all the rest of it. And a lot of them are going to be your friends, but it might be difficult to reach a broader audience on Facebook. Whereas if you look to something like YouTube or Instagram and using the hashtag system to reach other, if you use Instagram utilizing the hashtag system to reach a larger audience, and like Nick is saying in the chat, vary your content. I think it's tough. I mean, I think doing something is usually better than doing nothing. And my rule my rule that I go by is that consistency is always more important than talent, and it's always more important than almost everything else. Like,
I would say that consistency is more quality. You know what I mean?
More important than quality.
You could release one, and if it's amazing, cool. And I've seen tons of people who do that. They're amazing players, amazing singers, and they do one thing or they do one album, and it's like, cool. But there's this guy that's not that great, and do it for 15 years. he's gonna have like infinitely more success than you are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean,
No, so let me. Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
well, just on that note, I mean, it's really hard to growth in these sort of spheres usually sort of models an exponential curve. And if anybody's familiar with what an exponential curve looks like, Google it or whatever. But it starts out as a very, very slow, gradual incline where you almost doesn't look like anything's happening at all. And then
Yes.
there's a point, which is called the knee, where it all of a sudden turns up and just starts astronomically increasing.
Yeah.
And so it's very hard to see that development early on, and people will often give up or be like, "Oh, I'm not really getting anywhere." And if you're consistent for long enough and serious about what you're doing, the idea is eventually you will hit that knee, and jump up. So I mean, say for example on Twitch, say I'm averaging 2 viewers right now on each of my streams. Let's say that's what I'm doing. Let's say, and I don't know the math here, but let's say for example my average viewer count will double every month, for example. So the first month I'm streaming, if I stream 3 times a week, my average viewer count will double every month. So I'm streaming 3 times a week for a month, I got 2 viewers. Next month I got 4, and like this isn't really going anywhere. 3 months in, I've got 8. I'm like, oh man, like what am I doing wrong? 4 months in, 16. It's like, okay, something's starting to happen. And then 5 months in, I got 32. That's still not enough to be making any money, but maybe I'm starting to say, okay, So, however that, I can't do the math in my head, but you can see how 6 months in, 64, 7, 128, 8, 2, and then I'm at 200, and then it's like, holy smokes, this thing's going crazy.
Yeah. I mean, so like, I think the biggest thing though, it is like the root of the question. It's like when people post all the time, does it devaluate their brand over saturation? I think it's. I don't think even being oversaturated is going to devaluate your brand like significant. Like if I released a song of me singing, a video of me singing on a daily basis, I don't think that it's going to do enough damage to actually even be
harmful.
You wouldn't be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Agree.
I think anybody who's doing this stuff now is they're just trying things because they don't want to sit around. And obviously people, certain people are, I don't know, they're lonely, like you said, and it's like I think that what else are you gonna do?
Yeah. Nick Mabry brings up a good point in chat here. He says if you're consistently posting content, you're consistently learning how to attract followers. You'll get there if you keep at it. I think that's great advice. Yeah. Also, just like to Will's question, like you also don't know the reasons for why people are posting what they're posting.
Yes.
They're not necessarily trying to grow their brand, like we sort of touched on earlier. They might just be hungry for contact with other people. They want to see, they want somebody to comment and then they can have a conversation with them, or they might just be doing it for fun. Just as like I said, I need a little bit of a goal in order to do something. So if I post it, then I'll make sure I do it right. Or if I stream it, I'll make sure
it's your motivation to keep going, pretty much.
I wouldn't worry
to
too
keep
much.
Getting better.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about what other people are doing. I would just do what motivates you and what you feel like is helping you in whatever way.
To be honest, I feel like for someone like Will too, he could I think that there's a type of way of him doing content that would suit him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's working his butt off. Like I've kept in contact with his fucking brother, but he's working his butt off. But I do think there's like a way that, a year from now when we're all back in touch, that people will forget. Like, oh yeah, Will's the guy that I call. People won't forget that, but there are certain people that are going to, I think, gain traction because of the situation we're in right now. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. And that's not to make anybody else feel guilty or bad about not
Yeah.
loving social media. Like if it's not for you, it's not for you. Like for a lot of people, social media is a source of distress, of anxiety, of
Yeah.
negative mental health stuff. And if that's the case, then stay off of it. It's not a necessity to be a social media expert all of a sudden just because we all can't do things
Yeah.
as normal.
I feel like you should almost like consult someone then, like depending on what your job is. If you're an artist or you own a business, you gotta have something. You gotta have something on social media, you know?
Yeah, I'm just
Because like
saying, if
when the
people,
serve money runs out, when you
yeah,
had your 4 months of serve money, well, where are you getting that money from, buddy?
yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, I just saying, I don't want to put unnecessary pressure on people who don't feel like social media is for them.
Yeah, I want to put pressure on Willie. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm talking to you, Willie.
right. But I mean, there's lots of different ways to go about it, right? Like people make a
Yeah, I know.
great living doing online lessons, and we talked about that in a
Yeah,
previous episode. If you can get that going, that there might be a social media component to it in terms
yeah.
of advertising, but generally speaking, the work is just person to person teaching. And if that's what you love doing, then you can do that. You don't have to be a social media expert. You don't have to be posting every day. So, you know, if people are posting all the time, it might not be for the reasons that you think. But if you are looking to build your brand and post a lot, like we said here, I think consistency is super key. As Nick pointed out in the chat, consistency is key. Vary your content and also vary the platforms that you are.
And he also liked
putting content on.
Of building to a bigger thing. Like, you know, even like we should do a really long stream. You know what I mean? Like one of these ones where it's just focused on streaming, and then, you know, advertise it for like a week or two and be like, this is when we're doing it. We're doing the thing. We're just going to pay attention to streaming. And then, you know, people will like, not people will look forward to it, but hopefully some people will look forward to it, and we can possibly get, you know, the ball rolling. Like, I like that idea. Instead of just being like, yeah, I'm going to do a stream every 2
Yeah,
days.
like actually do something streaming centric to make it a thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's great. Anyways, there's a very vocal person in the chat who also asked us a question.
Okay. Hit me.
By the name of Nick Mayberry. Is it Mayberry or Mayberry? Mayberry?
Mayberry.
Mayberry. I was messing it up. Mayberry. Let's say you want to do a cover song. Let's say you're going to program your drums. Rather than sit there and program each note from the song that you're covering, could you just run a plugin that'll analyze the drum hits and convert them into MIDI notes? I don't know. Can you do that?
Well, as far as I know, I think in the way...
I missed more of it. I know Trigger can analyze drum hits, so is it possible to steal the drums from a song? Sort of.
Yeah, so... okay, so first of all, Trigger is a program from Stephen Slate, where the way Trigger works is it generally is put on individual drum tracks. So if you've got a kick track, a snare, a rack tom, and a floor tom, you would have an instance of Trigger on each one of those 4 tracks, and you set the sensitivity such that the triggers fire every time a note of that amplitude comes through Trigger. Okay? So generally speaking, Trigger doesn't do what you want it to. If you were to put it on, say, an overhead mic or a room mic or a 2 mix of a drum kit.
Yeah.
Right? Because Trigger can only sort of play that one sample that you give it, a snare sample, what have you. So generally speaking, it's not going to do what you want.
It could be developed, that technology.
It would be a really cool program to develop. As far as I know, what Nick, I think, is asking is, like, could I put, like, an MP3 of, like, Monkey Wrench by Foo Fighters into a plugin and then have the plugin spit out the MIDI information of the drums that were played in that song? I don't believe that program exists. What does exist, what you can do is if you have the drum stems, if you're able to get the stems from, and there are places where you can get individual tracks on certain songs if you sort of scour the internet for it.
Yeah,
You can use
they have to be popular.
yeah, they got to be pretty popular. You can use Melodyne, and what you would do is you would put
Oh,
Melodyne, you put an instance of Melodyne on, say, the snare track, for example, and let Melodyne record that snare track through its processing, and it'll make all the little blobs that say here's where all the snare hits are, and then you can actually export that Melodyne file to MIDI, and then you could end up with a MIDI track, which you could put a snare drum sample on, or put your virtual instrument drum kit on that. Now that's only going to give you the snare, so you would have to do it for each track. If you
I see.
don't have individual tracks, what you could potentially do is by using EQ. If you can find a way to, for example, for
Oh,
the kick drum, if you use a low pass filter and sort of cut all the high end information off the track, maybe down to like 300 hertz, 200 hertz, so all you're hearing is boom, 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 boom. All you're hearing is that thump of the kick and maybe some of the bass guitar. You might be able to put that through Melodyne and at least lift the kick drum pattern, and then you might be able to do the same thing with the snare. Either using an EQ boost or potentially by using, if you put a mid-side EQ, and this is getting a little technical, but this could work. If you put a mid-side EQ on the stereo track of the song you want to lift, and you flip the side information out of phase, duplicate the track, and then listen to the in phase and out of phase at the same time, the sides would cancel, and all you would hear is the mid information, which would be the kick, snare, vocals, and whatever other elements are in the middle. And you might be able to, and then maybe if you shape that with an EQ, you might be able to just get mostly the snare, put that through Melodyne, and then export it to MIDI. That's
so
as far as I know, that's the only way to do that. So there's not really
yeah. So what you're saying is it's gonna be a lot of
it'd
work.
be an interesting scientific experiment, but I don't think it's practical
Practical,
with
yeah.
what I know to exist currently. But those are the ways that I could see you attempting it. Yeah.
So now, one of the things that, to my knowledge, doesn't exist, but people have talked about this, like you can't isolate tracks from already existing mix, right? Like you can't take a mix of like, I don't know, Wonderwall and be like, I'm just gonna pull the drums out of this.
If you just have like a stereo MP3 or WAV
Yeah,
file to work with,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't
Yeah,
separate
that's
elements
as
from
far
within
as I've
that.
understood about it.
Yeah.
But
But
the people have been like, yeah, they isolated the drums. I'm like, I don't think they did. I just think they had the isolated drums.
well, the best you can do is use some kind of EQ or some kind of phase cancellation technique to get
Yes.
rid of the stuff you don't want to hear. So I know, like, for example, Will uses a program called Amazing Slowdowner to
Yes.
lift songs, and there's a built-in EQ, I believe. This is the program he was telling me
It
about.
is a
There's a
big slow down.
built-in EQ where you can boost, I don't know what the frequency is, like 3K, and the guitars get louder because you're boosting that frequency that the guitars are in, so it makes them easier to hear.
Sure. Yeah. That's
Right.
smart. That's
So
really
if
good.
you only wanted to hear, and I know, it's possible, for example, we were in the studio once and we needed to replace the drums on a mix, and I didn't bring the stems. I just had the stereo mix because I'm dumb.
Oh,
And so what we did is we did a high pass filter up to like, I don't know, 500 hertz or 1K or something. And then, so most of the thump of the drums was gone, and you could just sort of hear the nasality of the vocal and some of the guitar transients and stuff like that. So it was a heavily shelved mix, and that made it really easy for Rich, who was the drummer on the session, to just play a new drum part without getting distracted by the drums that were already there. So that's a technique you can use to sort of make things more or less audible in a mix. But in terms of actually isolating certain elements, I don't believe that that's possible at the moment.
Yeah. No. So that was a long-winded answer for it. It's going to take a while.
Yeah, well, it's a fun thing to contemplate because I'm a nerd.
Thought experiment.
Let's hit up this last question real quick. This is
from a familiar sounding name.
Friend of the show. My mom, K. Rowe.
Mama Rowe.
KR, Kathy Rowe. She's asking about the quality.
My mom never asked me questions. Sorry.
She's asking about the quality or the use of earbuds, headphones, wireless or otherwise, etc. What type of headphones should you use in what circumstance? What kind of headphones do you use, Mike, for different things?
Yeah, I have like a comfy pair of overhead headphones, and I have a not so comfy pair. I have no idea what the uncomfy pair is. What the comfy pair is some sort of Sennheiser, just like easygoing sort of over ears ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually don't even know. I'm gonna look it up right now. The Sennheiser.
I think they're like the HD like 260s maybe or something.
That's a good question. I would like to have better headphones. You have better headphones than I. I can't find it easily, and so there's Sennheiser whatever.
Yeah, I think they're Sennheiser HDs. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think mine's an HD. I don't know.
No.
But yeah, like I feel like that's in the other ones that I'm actually using right now are my in-ear monitors, which are Atomotic in-ear monitors. I can't remember the model number, the basic one.
Are they custom or universal?
They're not custom.
Okay.
They're universal.
Nice.
So she's asking about what to use for what sort of thing?
Yeah, and like, how does the quality of earbuds differ from, maybe more pro headphones?
See, I don't have a ton of experience in headphones. I know that your headphones that you have are like miles ahead of the over-ear headphone that I have. I feel like for listening, for accuracy, over-ear headphones are the like.
Yeah. So there's a few distinctions to be made. So the ones that I'm wearing right now and the ones that I use, these are Sennheiser HD 650s, 650. They're not the highest of high end, but they're definitely, I would say, prosumer grade, if you will. And these are ones I use for critical listening and for mixing. And they're super comfortable. They sound amazing. These are over-ear headphones, and these are what you would call open back headphones.
That's what I was just going to ask. Yeah.
So, which basically means that the coverings around the ears are not completely sort of airtight or sound tight, if you will. Somebody else in the room can sort of hear what I'm listening to just from the sound coming off of the headphones. And generally what that does is it allows for a greater deal of accuracy in terms of what the listener is hearing at the expense of isolation. So if I was playing guitar, acoustic guitar, for example, with a microphone on it, and recording that, and wearing these headphones, the bleed from, say, the click track in my ears or the rest of the track that I'm listening to could easily come through the open backs of the headphones and into that microphone and sort of add some pollution to that track, some bleed to that track. Yeah. So if you're recording, you want closed back headphones like the Sennheiser HD, I think they're 260s. And those sacrifice a little bit of accuracy, but they give you the isolation that you want, so that the sound that you're hearing doesn't bleed out and is heard by the microphone you're recording into or other people in the room. So the bleed that I'm talking about is not super extreme, but you can definitely hear it. And then
it's a thing to consider. Depending on what you're trying to do and who you are. Like, what would you say an artist who's looking to record their own demos? What would be an artist's like best all-around headphones? Like I'm assuming closed back, right?
Yeah, I think closed back is generally what you want, over the ear closed back headphones. I think the best value is still in the Sennheiser 260s, I think is the model number. And they're not super expensive. They're a couple $100. They're not going to completely break your bank. The sound quality is excellent, and the isolation is there for you. Now for like recording clients at the moment, I don't have a great secondary set of headphones. I'm using some headphones from Monoprice, which is a website where you can get cheap electronics, and they were like $30. Closed back over the ear headphones, good isolation. They're a little creaky, so it's kind of annoying when you're trying to record, but but they sound good enough. I mean, when you're recording, you just need to hear the elements you need to hear, the click, the track. You're not looking for heavy accuracy, but if you're trying to mix something or listen critically to a mix of your music that your engineer has sent to you, then you do want something with a little bit more accuracy. Also valuable to listen on stuff like Apple earbuds or cheaper headphones like that. The quality is going to be a lot worse. You're going to lose a lot of bass. You're going to lose a lot of detail in terms of transients. Transients meaning the articulations of the instruments, the initial hits of those instruments. That's the first thing you notice when you're wearing super, super high end headphones, is that all of a sudden you just hear everything clear as day, and mixes that you thought sounded amazing don't sound as good anymore. Sometimes they can fall apart a little bit.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
I know that you're answering your mom's question.
Yeah, but jump in here. Yeah.
When I was looking up headphones and spending time, because once again, not super experienced in headphones and even just getting proper speakers. But so they're always talking about these things. Like, oh, the highs are so crisp, or like the mids are they're so hollow in that headphone. And you see these headphone review sites. Is that all just like BS, or like what do they mean? Do they mean there are lots of highs, or there are lots of a particular high frequency, or when you hear reviews like that, like an actual review where someone's like, oh, the bass is no good in this one because it's too woofy.
I mean, there's two layers to this question. So let's say you and I are sitting down to a meal, okay? We're sitting down to bacon and eggs.
Which we shouldn't be, because
we shouldn't be, but let's say we were, okay? Eating some bacon. I take a bite. I'm like, yeah, this bacon tastes great. And you take a bite and you're like, man, this bacon's way too salty.
Yes.
So first of all, it's a matter of taste. What do you like, right? Now, then the second problem is that it's really difficult. It's really easy if we're talking about food for me to say this is not salty, and you say this is salty. I understand what you're saying, right? I understand what something's salty. I may not agree with you for my personal taste, but I understand what you mean. Now, the problem with audio speak is that when I say something sounds muddy, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to me?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And this is a problem that we come up with. It's a problem that we're up against oftentimes dealing with clients when we're sending them mixes. If a client says, yeah, this track just sounds too thin to me. It sounds really thin. Now, I know what thin means to me.
Yeah.
But that, what does it mean to them? And if I turn around and say, no, it's not thin at all. There's a ton of low end. It's, to me, thin is like there's not enough low end, right?
Yeah.
But to them, maybe thin means the guitar's too loud. And that's the way they express that, right? So trying to sort of find out what they mean is a whole thing. So if you're reading forums, which I wouldn't really recommend.
It was actually like headphone review websites.
Yeah.
And it seemed like there was a bit of bullshit. You know what I mean?
Sure. Take it for what it's worth. I mean, if you're reading actual product descriptions from the manufacturer, then it's all just, advertising speak to get you to want to buy the product. If you're reading someone else's review, take it with a grain of salt. Like if a lot of people are saying the highs are too this, the highs are too that, the highs are too this, and it all kind of sounds like negative stuff, then maybe there's something to be said there. But it's really, really difficult to understand what people mean. Unfortunately, the only real way to do it is to try them out for yourself and listen to recordings that you are familiar with. And if you like the way those recordings sound through the headphones that you're wearing, then those are a good pair of headphones for you.
Yeah, I feel like, sorry, I distracted us, but the consensus you were saying about the headphone thing, or at least what I'm getting from it, is like depends on what your purpose is. I wouldn't even bring these in ears to the gym, just under fear of, losing them,
Mm-hmm.
or like, say, for instance, any of those like over the ear
High
headphones.
end stuff, yeah.
Like, yeah, like you gotta bring earbuds, you know?
Oh yeah, if you're just going for a run or going to the gym, like I mean, who cares about sound quality at that point, right?
Yeah.
Another thing that's probably worth mentioning is like if you want excellent sound quality, I wouldn't recommend wireless headphones. I
Oh, yeah.
don't find that Bluetooth is particularly good at transmitting hi-fi audio. But again, if you're just casually going to the gym, who cares? But
Who cares? Yeah.
I love my wireless headphones for going on runs and going to the gym because I don't
Now, what
get
would
caught
you
up in the
recommend for
cord.
somebody who's like, because if that's what you're saying, then somebody who's just a consumer listening, would you recommend just getting a decent pair of speakers then? You know,
Probably
over a decent pair of headphones?
not. I mean,
Yeah.
it really depends on what situation you're in. Like if it is nice to have a hi-fi system at home if you're just gathering with people and listening to stuff. I mean, even the sound bars you can buy for TVs now sound pretty good. So you might just want to run your stuff through that. Hi-fi speakers, I don't have a lot of experience with. My dad's got a pair of what are they called? PSB speakers that he really loves. That they sound pretty good.
Yeah.
I only really use this stuff for critical listening or just casually just hanging out. So for headphones, I think if you're an artist, Sennheiser 260s are good. If you're just a music listener and you really love to sit down and close your eyes and put on a pair of headphones and dive deep into a record, and you've got the budget, these Sennheiser HD650s are really nice for just listening and just hearing stuff you never knew was there before.
And would you avoid, like, obviously for recording and for mixing, you would avoid some beats, like,
Yeah.
but would you avoid them for just a consumer?
I mean, if you think they sound good, then grab them. I mean, the thing with beats.
My issue with them is the fucking and when you're buying anything that has like a name behind it, like that, like because it's Dr. Dre beats, like Dr. Dre has to get paid. So that's extra money on the headphones. And also too, like they have like almost like they're so popular that you're not going to be getting what you pay for those. You know what I mean?
Sure, in terms of value. I mean, those are also marketed towards consumers. I don't think those are marketed towards people who work in music and do critical listening.
No, I mean, if you're going to be a consumer, I bet you there's a better value like headphone out there. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that the Sennheisers would beat the Beats anytime for me.
For sure.
But I mean, the nice thing about consumer headphones like the Beats is that they do have a EQ taper to them where they're bassier, they're a little bit hyped, right? They probably got more high end, so they're gonna make the material you're listening to sound more exciting, sound more interesting, more engaging, right? So that might make for a more enjoyable experience for most people who are just casual music listeners. But for those of us who are trying to mix stuff and need to sort of hear as transparently, quote unquote, as possible, you want something that doesn't have any sort of EQ response curve and is as quote unquote flat as possible and detailed and accurate as possible. So that's what we're looking for.
Well, do you not paying for the flash colors? Symbols and all that stuff.
But I mean, that being said, you can get used to anything, right? Like if you mixed 50 records on Beats headphones, you're going to be good at mixing records on Beats headphones. You'll figure it out, right? So, while it might be a little bit, you might not be mixing your bass hot enough at first, you'll figure it out. You'll get there. You'll find what that feels like and it's supposed to sound like for you. So another thing is get used to. If you're going to invest in a good pair of headphones, take some time to get used to them. Listen to a lot of material, and as you work with them, and if you're using them to mix, compare what you're doing on other headphones, compare with other material on different systems, so that you can give your ears a shock and make sure that your stuff is actually sounding the way you want. Because sometimes headphones sound too good, and no matter what you do, you're like, this sounds great. Because headphones are so cool. They're so immersive and cool.
Which for a consumer would be a great problem to have.
Yeah, but for a mixing engineer, it can be a bit of a trap because it's so immersive. You're just like, this, everything I do sounds amazing. I can hear everything, and then you throw it on a set of NS10s, and your mix sounds like crap. And it's like, okay, well, I gotta go back to
on like a regular just human being speaker,
car stereo. Put it on the car, and I always call the car the dream crusher. You're like, I got this great mix. I can take it to the car, get my dreams crushed. Great. So, so as you get used to working with your headphones, you will get better at that.
I mean, so the big thing to sum up, big warning, is what you're using them for.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing anything professional, don't touch Bluetooth audio.
Yeah.
Also, too, don't touch Bluetooth audio unless there's a specific reason to. Because even Bluetooth speakers, they're convenient.
Yeah.
But you lose something in the Bluetooth.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I always aux into my car instead of Bluetooth.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's not that big of a deal. But anyways, other than that, Bluetooth is the devil. And then just don't waste your money on fucking Beats. They're expensive, man.
Mike's got a anti-Dre agenda over here.
Dr. Dre he's apparently mixed all the stuff. I like his stuff. It's just I think that they're overpriced for what they are.
All right. Well,
it's like buying a Fender special Strat. It's like, I get it. Or a Gibson Les Paul now. You're not getting value there.
Yeah, right. I hear you, man. I agree with you.
Better.
Okay, so why don't we wrap it up there? That was a great episode. Great questions. Thanks to everybody who wrote in. Please continue to write in with your questions, and we will get to them episode to episode as we can. And we love to hear from you guys.
Continue to pop on the live.
Yeah, please continue to come to the live YouTube stream and join the chat. We love it. Do check out our YouTube channel. You can find some new videos. Most recently, I posted one about how to set up your Pro Tools for online lessons over Zoom or Skype or what have you. It also works for streaming. It's the very setup I'm using right now. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/musicguypodcast, Instagram @musicguypodcast. I am @alromusic.
And I am @Bruno the Meek.
And you can find me on Twitch most days, because what else am I doing? Twitch.tv/alromusic. On Mondays, we do Music Mondays, where I play songs and take requests.
You're devaluating your brand and oversaturating
That's right, yeah. And you can also... Where else can people find us? I'm blanking here.
We got Instagram, we got Facebook, we got Twitch, we got YouTube, we got our website, which... you don't need to go there. It looks nice, but you're probably listening on Stitcher, Google Play, or Spotify. Spotify has not been getting a lot of hits lately.
Anyways. Yeah, I don't know if we're properly set up for that. Anyways, thanks so much, as always, folks, for listening, and we will see you next week, same time, same place, for another episode of the Music Guy Podcast. Bye for now.
Are we officially gone? Officially done?
Let me end the YouTube stream. Thanks for joining the stream, everybody. Peace.
Bye, YouTube. Come back next week. I miss you so